Nine right now.
Hey everybody, let's get into this. Let's go to my iSee109 Instagram page. This is the front page. All right, it says that I have 1,584 posts, 617 followers, and I am following 1,124 people. My name is Larry Alfred Wiggs II. I'm a real estate. I'm a realtor, and my ID number, my license number, excuse me, the DRE number is 01790864. Below that, there are pictures of the flags of the nations I have visited. And let's see, let's go through them. America, the United Kingdom. Okay, whoa. Let me backtrack because I put it in this order. I think it's in alphabetical order. Let's see. So probably from in descending order. So United States of America, United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Turkey, Tanzania, Switzerland, Sri Lanka, Spain, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, um, Qatar or Qatar, Portugal, the Philippines, Peru, Panama, Oman, Morocco, and that's Mexico, Japan, Germany, France, Ethiopia, Egypt, Cuba, Colombia, China, Canada, Bahrain, Costa Rica. Mm, is that Thailand and then Costa Rica? So that one of those is out of place. Thailand, Costa Rica. Next, Poland, Vietnam. No, Poland, Cambodia, Vietnam, Ghana. What is that? That's which one is it? That's Denmark, Sweden, wait, Poland, and then Ireland. Okay, wait. So let's go back between Cambodia. Okay, that must be the Singaporean flag, the red over the white. Okay, all right. Well, enough of looking at my profile. Sorry to bore you with that. Yep, I work for Berkshire Hathaway. I'm a realtor, licensed under Berkshire Hathaway. My link tree is right here. I don't know if it's still up. I haven't paid for the subscription. Maybe it says it's a 404. I don't know. Let's click there and find out. Looks like it's still up. That's cool. All right. Yeah, my link tree is cool. So you can go and learn about my page. iSee109. It's based on true events. I explain what 109 is here. You can watch 109 there. I have it in Spanish here. I have a little advertisement, a little commercial. Get the word out here. You could buy here. Again, um, you know, my websites. I haven't paid for my websites. I've hit a brick wall. No money. So things are no longer updated. You ever have you ever like been a fan of something and then when you go to check out their web page, then there's a 404 error and things just aren't working anymore and it's like, "Oh man, the page doesn't exist anymore." Yeah, that's kind of where I am right now. But thankfully at least I have a 3-year history. I kept it going for 3 years. So, I just need an influx of some funds, some support, to keep it up, because everything is ready to just stay up. up and running, you know. 109 or 109 is an idea as much as it is a number. I call it 109. To understand 109, it takes a creative mind willing to explore numerology, psychology, history, philosophy, and statistics. iSee109 explores the mysterious interpretations of this number from a myriad of perspectives. All right, so anyway, let's get back to the this one. So, Instagram is Instagram, post pictures and all. Let's see if I can talk about any of these pictures. Snoop Dogg released a video recently, and this was the license plate, Larry Dog. That's my name, so I just put that up there to be like, hey. I guess it's been a few months ago now. I went and I purchased this book. I listened to the speaker, Keith Corbin. I listened to him speak at the California African American Museum. Here's a picture from that evening. This is Ron Finley, the gangsta gardener, world famous. And so he was there. And then right over here, you see Keith Corbin. He's the author of this book. So I got the book signed by Keith Corbin, who's sitting here. And then I got a picture with Ron Finley. So that was cool. My wife here. Lovely picture. Oh yeah, this picture was taken on the day that I visited Ron Finley at his gangsta garden, right? So we're there in the gangsta garden, kind of like the Garden of Eden, eh? Anyway, I've got some cool little posts here and everything. I went to the Jean-Michel Basquiat exhibit, and yep, got this picture taken. Let's see. At Pilgrim School, Coach Serafian retired after 40 years. Here's Coach. He was one of our coaches when I was a wee little lad. A wee lad. He's looking great, doing great. All right. Here's some of my former classmates at Pilgrim. Here we are. Yada, yada, yada. More pictures taken. Let's see if I can point out some cool stuff. I was in Ethiopia at Lalibela. And if you know, I mean, it's a religious site. It's a sacred site. So you have to remove your shoes. So I removed my shoes, and there I was barefoot at Lalibela. That was a beautiful, beautiful time. When you remove your feet, remove your shoes, and you walk on your bare feet, people are calling that earthing, because, we're electric beings and the earth speaks to us and we want to touch the earth directly to feel it. So I didn't know that that's what I was doing, or that people call it that, but I was just following the rules, and there I was right there. My feet touched Lalibela in Ethiopia. Yeah, I've got all these other photos from my travels recently. Here's Eric, my buddy from South Korea. We met up in England, of all places. So that was a cool experience to have a friend, in a far off land. Otherwise, it would have been just solo travel for me, like, all right, whatever. But because he was there, it was all the more special, right? Yep. A few months ago, my grandfather passed. This is my grandfather with a picture of his dad. So this was a very important photo for me. Yeah. It's my dad and my granddad here. So this was around the time when granddad passed, and so I was getting all of these messages of support and everything. So thank you all for your messages, for your kind messages. I was in Ghana. Here's Edmund and I. We went for lunch one day. It's a good picture right there in Ghana, Accra. Yep. All right, so without further ado, the reason I'm recording a screen recording like so is to call your attention to my experience in Oman. I want to explain how I documented what happened to me in Oman. Oman, is a country. It's also known as the Sultanate of Oman because it's run by a sultan, not a president, not a prime minister, but a sultan. It's a Muslim country, all right? My page is called iSee109 Kobe.
You're at 109 right now.
Yes, 109, but I call it 109. So here's an example of some of the 109 moments. I wrote my book, and I asked, I'm holding my book here, 109 on Crenshaw Boulevard, as you can see, with Crenshaw on my shirt, the Nipsey Crenshaw shirt in the Crenshaw district. Young actor here, a thespian, Dewan Christopher was at SO1 Books. SO1 Books no longer exists. Well, it exists online, but no longer in the brick and mortar. And he purchased one of my books. I signed it for him. Thank you. And this is the young lady who owns Whiffs on Wheels, Tina Renee. And she purchased one of my books in support. My book is about Nipsey, so she stood in front of the Nipsey mural right there near Earl's. Earl's on Crenshaw. And then here's something cool. Those numbers 109. I was talking about the numbers, and I was, just making mention of it and talking like, yo, these numbers just appear in all of these wild places. And I was watching the movie Coming to America 2 when I saw this scene, and I took a screen capture of it because there go those numbers, 10 and 9. And I thought, man, that is perfect, because the story of 109 or 109 is it has to do with the universe. It has to do with spirituality. It has to do with religion, numerology, and it was just so fitting. And and it also has to do with African history. I mean, it really has to do with Africa. And this movie Coming to America focuses on Africa. So it was so fitting to see 109 in the movie. So I had to snap that photo, and I was so proud of that. Just like, yo, see, I'm not just making this up. 109 is where it needs to be. And that movie is absolutely where 109 is supposed to be. So this is the book here. This cover, the way that this book looks right here, this came to me in a dream. I saw red with white letters, 109, or white numbers. I saw that. And so that's what it was. That's really what it was. Just like that. Boom. That came to me in a dream. And then, even though it came to me in a dream, I didn't know what I would write about. I did not know. I didn't know for a very long time. In fact, about 2 years. Yeah, I had the dream with this image in maybe 2016, maybe 2017. But certainly it was in 2019 that I was able to write the book and fill the pages of the book. Right? All right, so let's keep it moving. Let's move into something. All right, we'll start here. This is a video I recorded while I was in Oman. All right, I want to call your attention to it. Listen to what I say, and then. All right, so I'm going to tell the story about what happened to me out here. This is Nizwa, and I woke up one morning, I looked up in the sky, and I saw a cross. And then I went to work. I drove to work and that truck cut me off. And I looked at the license plate and it said 1090, 1090. And then, that was it. This is Nizwa. As you can see, there are no chemtrails at this hour, but all right, so there's that video, right? Now, what I would like to I'd like to make an addendum to that story. I believe that on the day that I was recording that, I was just recapping what had happened, the events, but I did not put them exactly in chronological order. So let me do that now. What I experienced was one day I woke up and I drove to work and a car cut me off. The car cut me off and the license plate read 1090, 1090. So I saw those numbers and, I had a moment there where I was like, I feel good because I saw those numbers. And then it was a week later, 7 days later, that I walked outside of my apartment and I saw a cross. All right. So this is the image here. This is the cross that I saw in the sky. If you can see it, there's a line there. There's a line there in the sky. And this was quite peculiar because it was a very well-defined cross. It was a very well-defined, intersection of, perpendicular lines. And I just wondered how those lines got up there, because I normally didn't see any airplanes flying overhead that would produce those lines, and they were just so pronounced in the sky that it was like, for one, it seemed as if just minutes before airplanes flew overhead to create them, and then there was just no evidence of planes, really flying overhead at that particular altitude. And they seem to be rather close to the ground, pretty low, not very high in the sky. But who knows? I couldn't tell the altitude, but I definitely saw perpendicular lines. And so I snapped a photo. So that's what I saw, right? So the story goes, the day on which I saw, or rather the day on which the car cut me off and the car's license plate I noticed had 1090 on it, that was the same day that Nipsey Hussle had been murdered, or rather that was hours after I learned of his murder, or rather that was hours after he had been murdered when I learned of the news while I was in the desert. Remember, there's an 11-hour time difference, and specifically when Nipsey was murdered, I learned about his murder maybe 3 to 6 hours later, because I was asleep. I was literally asleep when he, lay dead or dying on the streets of Los Angeles, sadly. And so by the time I woke up, I checked my Instagram feed and I found all of these pictures of Nipsey. And then I was like, man, why is everyone posting about Nipsey? And then I read a caption that said, he was a good dude, prayers up. And it hit me, oh man, he's dead. And I was just devastated, right? Because I was a fan rocking with him, and I was very, very proud to be from Los Angeles and just, happy for his success. And then to hear of his sudden, untimely death was just too much. So I kind of laid there on, I was asleep I was laying on the floor, on the ground in my room. It was more comfortable. The bed was just, it was terrible. It was very hard, stiff, and it was very uncomfortable. So I found it better sleeping on a little mattress on the floor. So I was laying on the floor, scrolling through my Instagram, and then I read that information, and tears came to my eyes thinking about Nipsey. I was like, dang, man, this is horrible. And then I went from sadness to anger when after I felt sad after learning of Nip's passing, and then I drove to work, and that car cut me off. And so first I was saddened by Nip's passing, and then I was angry because this dude cut me off. And then my sadness and my anger dissipated because I looked at the license plate, and it was like, that's a sign from God, because those are my numbers, 10-9. So that's how the story goes. So I had some idea. I had a really good idea of what to put in the book, 10-9, at that point. Or at least I had some inclination. I had an idea that it was related to Nipsey. Whatever I was going to write about, it was going to be about Nipsey. But then it was 7 days later, while I was compiling the book, when I looked into the sky and I saw these lines, that it really was solidified for me. And like every idea that I had about Nipsey was just, coming to the forefront. And I was putting all of the pieces together, and soon after this week I had a full poem entitled 10-9, and then all I had to do was explain myself, explain the meaning of 10-9, and that's where the book came from. So being in Oman was something very, very special. Now here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you back to just before that day, and I'm going to run down my posts to just give you an idea of what I was experiencing and going through. As a matter of fact, I think I have another post. Oh, okay. I have another account. I have another Instagram account, and if I pull it up, I can explain better. Let's see. Alright, I have another account. It's called iSee109. What the heck happened? This is it? I hope so. No, this is the same one. Okay. So this is my other account here, iSee109, and I post about these moments when I encountered 10-9, okay? Let's watch this video just to give you an idea. I was sitting in an office, right? Those were my feet a second ago. I'm sitting in the office just minding my business, and this is what happens. This is what I notice.
Yes.
Okay, so that was what I noticed. There's 109 on that door. So I kind of felt as if I was destined to be there, and that number right there was just confirmation. Larry, this is now you're on the right path. So I posted that. And so all of these other moments are, just random occurrences. Look, well, this didn't happen to me. This was my wife. She saw 109 while she was out and about throughout the city. She told me that on this meter, she pulled up and she saw 109 there on this meter. But when she looked at the time, or how much time was left on the meter, there was like 1 hour and 9 minutes left. So that was like, wow, that too. Anyhow, 109 here, 109 there. This page is called iSee109, and so in other words, iSee109 or iSee109. In some way, I see it. I come across it. License plates, receipts. Look at this receipt. Receipt number 10054. See, that's 10, and then 5 plus 4 is 9, so that's 109. You see? Yep. So that's what this is all about. Look at this one. We went to the museum. My wife and I went to the museum one day, and I snapped this photo of her in front of this painting. And on the ground, you have the number 10 here, and you have the number 9 right here. I did snap this photo because I saw 10 and 9 on the ground like this, but I thought, man, this is wild, So what's interesting is 10, 9. What's interesting about this photo is this was taken at a Korean art exhibit at LACMA, Los Angeles County Museum of Art. And 10/9 is the day on which the Korean language is celebrated in Korea. I think it was also made a holiday in Los Angeles, probably only observed in Koreatown, if anyone really knows or cares to celebrate it. But 10/9, that's the date. And then how does that relate to me? Well, 10/9, that's my birthday. So Korea, and Larry, and then 10/9. So 10/9 has some significance in many different ways, in many different forms, related to me. So that's why these numbers are so, prominent on why I keep talking about them. Yep, Al Diaz in New York. All right. Just going to scroll through here. I'm looking for a photo that, there it is. All right, so this photo highlights exactly what was going through my mind 3 years ago when I was in the desert. All right, what was happening? So this person posted this, what you're looking at right here. I printed out someone's Instagram page. Right, I printed out this person's Instagram page. I'm not sure who this was. I'd have to find their name. But here's what happened. This person was basically thinking about the same things I was thinking of. So one day they posted here, next day they posted here, and then they posted about this. This is a post referencing the Battle of Adwa, which was an Ethiopian victory over Italy. And it's this victory, this war, this battle is very important and special to Ethiopians. And so because I had traveled to Ethiopia, I was aware of the Battle of Adwa. And here, on the same day, it's March 1st, that Ethiopians celebrated. I too was aware of the Battle of Adwa. I too was aware of Adwa Day, on which they celebrate or commemorate the battle, the victory, their victory. So I was aware. I was like, yeah, I'm like rah rah for Ethiopia, the Battle of Adwa, right on, okay. So I was with it. But of course, I was living in the desert in the Middle East. I was teaching English out there, right? So anyway, this is what I was thinking of. And this person was thinking of the same thing. Oh, the Battle of Adwa. So 7 days later is International Women's Day. I wasn't particularly keen on Women's Day, but it passed. And then 2 days later, there were 9 days between this day and this day, March 10th. March 10th was a very solemn day for Ethiopians because Ethiopian airline, one of their planes crashed. And so here, Ethiopians were very excited and happy based upon, their historic victory. They were celebrating. And then 9 days later, they were, mourning the loss of hundreds of people in a plane crash. So it went from elation to sadness. And I knew about this. A friend of mine, former colleague of mine, notified me of this event. So although I was aware of the Battle of Adwa, I became aware of the Ethiopian crash. But then again, even if my buddy hadn't notified me, it was pretty much all over the news. So I couldn't have missed it. However, when I think about it, I might have missed it because I wasn't paying attention to the news. I wasn't always paying attention to the news. So when my buddy messaged me, then I paid closer attention to the news, right? I don't know what this post was about, but maybe the sun, maybe, another holiday, maybe something special. Well, this was the 10th, and then 21 days later, this person posted a picture of Nipsey because on this day, Nipsey was murdered. So I circled all three of these events because during the month of March in the year 2019, these were events that captured my attention. And apparently it captured this person's attention as well. These were three events that were very, significant that occurred that month, in that month. And here's what it was like. I'm not of Ethiopian descent, but I could appreciate what this person who is of Ethiopian or perhaps East African, Eritrean or Ethiopian heritage. It looks like Ethiopian because they are posting Ethiopia. But, Nipsey Hussle was Eritrean, so they included him in it. They said, man, an East African brother, was murdered. So these three events were significant. They occurred in March 2019, and they captivated my mind. And as you can see, they were on the minds, these three events were on the minds of others as well, as indicated, as, indicative of this person's Instagram posts. Okay. Now, what happened? What was going on in my life around that time? All right, because I'm going to basically show you. So I was in the desert of Oman. This is an Omani man, a black Omani man. I took his picture because I was so surprised to see a black man, right? This is a more Arab looking man, less, of a black man looking. Another typical, this is an elder Omani man in Oman. Here I am, right? I was taking a tour that day. Yep. All right. So I was just enjoying myself, completely enjoying myself in Oman. I went on a tour that day. Let's see. I made a trip to Abu Dhabi, to the Louvre Museum in Abu Dhabi. And look at that ancient cuneiform, I believe by the Sumerians, the first language, human language. I saw these images. I noted this one because there's a black person back here. It's like, wow, there's a black person in the picture. Cool. All right, so anyway, and then also at the, there was this boat of Egyptians here. I've seen boats like these, and as of to date, I've seen them in, let's see, New York City, Spain, Egypt, Abu Dhabi, Los Angeles, maybe? Maybe not. Those are the countries that come to mind. Spain had an Egyptian exhibit where they had this boat. I definitely saw a boat like this in Egypt. Spain, Egypt. I saw one like this in New York City, and here it was again in Abu Dhabi. So those were the places. Jean-Michel Basquiat is my favorite artist. So at the Louvre in Abu Dhabi, here they have one work by Jean-Michel Basquiat, which just warmed my heart. I was like, yes. Okay, so back to the timeline that we were referencing. All right, so remember I stated that the Battle of Adwa was an important day. Well, here I am posting a picture of the book that I have in reference to the Battle of Adwa. And this is great. This is the book. My tour guide, my Ethiopian tour guide asked me, where do you get this book? Because, it's not easy to find. And I bought it on Amazon, and I was so happy to have this book because then I could read from a, Harvard or Yale published book, the events of this majorly historic event. I could read from their perspective, get that scholarly, verbiage going on. All right. So that was the day of the Battle of Adwa, or at least it was around that day, around that week when I posted that. But I had to post something to commemorate it, and there is my post, right? And soon after, here is my post in reference to the Ethiopian airline crash. This was the icon. This was the image that was used to connote sadness and devastation and mourning due to the plane crash. So there you have it. So I have 2 Instagram posts related to those events. All right. And then some more posts. I have some more posts. And then I have basically the first post of Nipsey Hussle. This was definitely after Nipsey's murder right here. This is the first post with his picture, but it's not the first post after which I learned of his passing. I believe this is it right here. This is it, because this was, King's death. You see, Jean-Michel Basquiat. Let me see, artwork by Jean-Michel Basquiat. Oh, so this was artwork by Jean-Michel Basquiat, right? And the artwork, the quote that Basquiat wrote on his artwork stated, most young kings get their heads cut off. And so this was in reference to that quote. It was like, look, this is a young king and the head is being chopped off. Of course, looks like it's by themselves, right? But I saw this as a reference to Nipsey Hussle having his head cut off, being dead, murdered, right? So I posted that. And then I posted this Ice Cube reference to us because Nipsey was murdered by his own, member of the same gang. So it was very much us, our problem. It wasn't an outsider. Okay. Now, let me try to wrap this up here. Here's what happened after the crash. I was in the desert, and I guess I bought this pair of shoes here, Nike blue laced Nike sneakers, And you know, when you have a new pair of shoes, you like them, you want to keep them as clean as possible for as long as possible. Well, that was impossible for me because um, this goat, this one right here, stood on my foot. And I found it quite interesting that this goat would have done that. There I was standing near my home, and I thought it was interesting to snap some photos of goats because I don't see goats, you know, in Los Angeles. But here I am there I was in the desert, and I thought, well, the desert, you know, this is normal in the desert. So let me just snap this photo and share it with friends. And as I was trying to snap this photo right here, this hoof, this goat's hoof landed on my foot. And I thought to myself, how rude. How rude, right? But notice the blue laces. That's a reference to Nipsey Hussle. I didn't buy these shoes because of Nipsey. No, no, no. You see, if I had been in Los Angeles, I would have been very cautious as to not wear blue lace sneakers so as to give the impression or to, you know, step on toes, as it were. You know, people will press you. Where are you from? You know, this is a blood neighborhood. We wear red over here. Don't wear blue in my neighborhood. This type of, you know, thing can happen in Los Angeles. So you don't want to bring unwanted attention to yourself. But because I was in the desert, and because this shoe was this shoe style only came in blue in my size, I bought these shoes and I didn't think anything of it. But because of Nipsey's murder, I thought, man, this is an interesting coincidence that I had these shoes. You know, I had a pair of blue shoes, and here's another photo over here of these blue shoes. And you know, and Nipsey made a song called Blue Laces. You know, that's what I thought about. But there's some different. I'm playing with the significance and the meaning because here. Well, let me tell you what also happened. So in this photo here, the reason I took it is because I paid what is like about $100 for these shoes, maybe 55.7 Omani Real. That's their currency. Well, like within days of purchasing these shoes, they reduced the price to 38.99, and I was shocked and I was upset that I had spent so much for shoes that were reduced in price, like the exact model, the exact same shoe, like within 24, 48 hours, maybe a week's time, maybe. But it seems sudden. This has happened to me before. Like in Los Angeles, I went and I purchased some electronic equipment, and on the same day, you know, at midnight, I probably purchased it at 9 p.m. and by midnight, it had been reduced by $100. Luckily, I had a problem with the electronics, so I went back to the store the following day. That's when I discovered, hey, it's been reduced. So I was like, I want that discount. Give me that money. So they gave me the money back. But imagine if I hadn't had a problem and I didn't know that the price had been reduced so soon after. But that's the same thing that happened here. When I was in Oman, the price was reduced, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I got to get my money. I didn't go back and get my money, however. I was just upset. Like, dang, that's crazy. What a coincidence. Like, so soon after. Like, man, they were just like, screw Larry. Oh, he took the last pair? Okay. Well, we're going to piss him off. Reduce the price. All right. But here's what's interesting. We have a blue shoe, you know, which represents the Crips, and we have a red shoe, which represents the blood gang, and then we have the black shoe, which represents just black people. That's why I snapped that photo. Like, look, that's everything right there. And I was in Oman when I snapped that photo. But I was snapping it because of the prices. I wasn't thinking about the colors so much. Again, there I was thinking about the Battle of Adwa a week or so ahead. Then the crash. And then I was wearing those blue sneakers when that goat stepped on my foot. And then here's another thing. Now, the crash happened. I took the photo with the blue laces, sneakers, the goat stood on my foot. And then I took this photo right here. This is just another photo I took just to say, hey, look at me. I had some Oreos sitting on my chest. I was eating them as I was reading this book. And then I put iodine on my foot and a burn cream. I had a foot fungus on my foot, and I didn't want the iodine or the burn cream to rub off on the floor. So I put on one sock, and I had that one sock on my right foot. And it wasn't until Nipsey was murdered that I looked back at these photos and I actually saw something happening, or I could make sense of something happening. The first of which was I started to say that this goat was trying to tell me something. The goat was trying to tell me, forget about material things. Forget about your shoes, because I was very much concerned. Oh, look at my nice shoes. They're so comfortable. Oh, I'm so fresh and all this. No, the goat was saying, forget about that. It's not important. So the goat stood on my foot to say, forget about these worldly things. And the goat was also goading me or, pushing me to see the larger picture, to say, forget about what you have, forget about this stuff, but look around you, something bigger, something larger is going to happen. So that's what I gathered. That's how I interpreted, this encounter with the goat. The goat was forcing me to see more. So next, and what was more, was, it was the well, I can't see it right now. It was the cross in the sky that came a week after Nipsey's murder. That is what was more. There it is. Okay. If I hadn't been paying attention to my surroundings, if I was paying closer attention to what I was wearing and other things, maybe I would have missed this, in the sky. All right. But here's the thing, okay? Here's this other picture here, and how this relates to Nipsey is my right foot. I had a sock on my right foot. Well, on the day that Nipsey was shot and then he subsequently died, there's video of Nipsey being carried out on a gurney and by the fire department. And Nipsey's body is still, I guess, adorned. He's still wearing one sock. I mean, I guess they removed one of his socks, right, while they were performing CPR and testing his body, or I don't know what happened. But he had one sock on his foot. And it struck me when I saw that image of his body carried out with one sock on his foot. I noticed that he had one sock on his left foot. And that's when I remembered I was nursing my right foot. And so I put that together to be like, okay, so Nipsey is a part of the puzzle, and then I am the other part of the puzzle. Left foot, right foot, put them together, and you have 2 feet. You have the left and the right. So that's the way I looked at it. I was like, actually, I looked at it, I was quite paranoid that someone had seen this particular photo and they said, okay, we're going to send Larry a sign because he's watching these videos about Nipsey. We're going to make sure that he sees something that will trigger him, or something that will connote a message to him that we know that we're watching him or something. That's how I felt. I was paranoid. I was like, man, someone knows that that my foot is covered, that my right foot is covered, and they want to send me a message. Sure enough, I was watching videos and I saw Nipsey with one sock on his left foot. And I thought, man, that's exactly what I thought, you know. So there it was. So this is what happened. These are the events. This is my Instagram page. So I was thinking about the Battle of Adwa. I was thinking about the Ethiopian airplane crash, and then I was thinking about Nipsey Hussle and his murder, just like that other person, just as so many other people were. All right. So this is going back in time to, you know, what I was experiencing. Here's something interesting. William Ellis. I learned about William Ellis when I was in Little Ethiopia in Los Angeles. I met his great grandnephew, and I always wanted to read his book. I have his book today. I purchased it, but this is just evidence that I was intrigued with his story, you know, and I wanted to remember him, so I posted about him there. There's so much to this story. There's so much to it. John Charles Robinson, Josephine Baker, Vivian Thomas, yeah. Surgeon Vivian Thomas. Ibn Battuta, the travels of Ibn Battuta. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking of when I 10-9. Yup. So there's some deep stuff that's in it. So what's the point of 10-9? We are all, the point is we're all connected. We're all distant relatives. And, you know, history is long and everything starts in Africa. You know, you do the archaeological research, you just keep coming up with Afro pics because Africa, it's always been Africa. And Jesus was black. And the first mother is mitochondrial Eve, a black woman. And baby Jesus, a black, you know, a black man. And very much like Nipsey was the embodiment of that, the black man, black Jesus. He rose to great heights, greater heights than many a black men in Los Angeles, and he was able to do that because of his principles, you know, and because of his connection with Africa. He didn't see anything in America that was too difficult to overcome. He just knew that belief in his principles and his faith in God would get him exactly where he needed to go. And he made a tremendous impact on the world based upon his faith in God. And his name, Ermias, meant God will rise. So he had a purpose. And he knew his purpose. So he lived out that purpose. And so that's what you have. All right, so that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video.
You're at 109 right now.
Window seat surfing on the wing. As an adolescent, I dreamed of big things. Climb to the top of the mountain to see the scene. Petty wap don't want me to have anything. I'm the captain, no jet lag. Boeing jet swag. Floating to the sunset, keep the drinks coming back. She summoned me, gave me turbulence on the sink. Pretty flight attendant boarding pass, I'm a buddy. Stunting first class, vegan meal yummy. Right in the prison.